All right, it is 11 o'clock, so let's get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to the commercial underwriting show, where we underwrite commercial properties. And today, we're going to have an interactive underwriting uh, of a property. So when I say interactive, that means it's not just going to come from one person doing all the talking. All right. It's not going to just be one person doing all the talking. We're going to be shooting questions out and asking everyone how, about how to do this and how to do that. So if you're not familiar with the underwriting show, this is an educational program. I expect for you to make mistakes. Okay. Because that's how you learn. If you don't say nothing, then how am I going to know, or how anyone going to know that you're good to go? Right. So we ask questions here. All right. And we get questions, answers wrong. So that way we can learn. All right. So hold on one second. I think Alicia is switching over to a different camera.
I'm actually trying to
Oh,
reinstall my speaker because I had to log in on my phone.
oh, I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, because I'm on my phone.
Right.
Ah.
So, the property that we're underwriting is it is a small property. It's 21 units. Property located in Texas, outside of Dallas. Okay, and this is where we're going to have some fun. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you. First, I'm going to show you the underwriting tool that we're going to use. And this is the underwriting tool that we're going to use right here. So we're going to walk through. Now, I could tell you right now, this program is only an hour long. So 9 times out of 10, we're probably not even going to finish this. I could tell you that, but let's make an attempt. It's only 21 units, and I already put in some of the major. I put in some of the information. Okay. Oh, hold on one second. There was one thing I need to do here. First floor, second floor, third floor. Okay. Now, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask basic questions because everyone may not know what to ask for. So I'm going to ask basic questions. All right. So for all you experienced veterans out there, you got hang in there because your knowledge is going to come in handy to help those that's not going to be as advanced as you. So I know these basic questions that I'm going to ask, you already know. Okay. So first question, um, you already did your homework. So we're not going to get into the market. Okay. You already did your homework on the market. You like the market. The market is a prosperous market. The market, is thumbs up and all of that. So we're not getting into the market, but there are going to be some questions going to be concerning the market that you may have to do. But we don't pick the market. We don't sat down. We say, hey, we're going to hit all the brokers in this area. We're going to hit the property owners in that area, and we are going to underwrite a property. So you get in contact with a broker, right? I'm setting up this whole scenario. You get in contact with the broker because you done found this property that you like, right? What are you going to ask for? Tell me what you're going to ask for.
The rent
We only
rolls, the T-12s,
anything else?
and so one more thing.
Help
Rent
him
rolls,
out, someone.
rent rolls, T-12s, um,
Rent rolls,
and the
T-12.
cap.
Repeat that again, Leo.
And the cap rate.
Okay, so Leo said rent roll, T12, and cap rate. Is there anything else that we should ask the broker for?
Is one more thing I forgot.
That's okay. Everyone, listen. I'm going to say this one more time. That this is an educational platform. I
Let me
expect
get my notes. Let me get my
I, I,
notes. I don't
I
even have my
expect
notes.
answers to be wrong. Okay, we expect answers to be wrong because we're here to help you. If you're going to come with all correct answers, then you ain't learning nothing. That's simply put, right? Because you already know everything. So why are you here, right? We're here to teach. We're here to help. We're here to help you move forward, right? So help Leo out. There's one more thing. There's something else. What else are you going to ask the broker for? Now, Leo already said rent roll, T12, cap rate. What else?
I would ask for the rent roll, T-12, any year-end statements, OM if he has one, from that standpoint.
Thank you. So rent roll, T12, OM, cap rate, and Richard said several other things. So the main three things that you're going to ask for is the rent roll, the T12, and the OM, the offer memorandum. Okay. All right. Okay. Anthony, I see you peeking down there. Anthony, Anthony, his camera is not completely open, so I see like he's peeking through the top of the lens. But anyway, so yeah, so
Is
those are the three
defected.
things you're gonna ask for. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, my camera is defected, so but I see everybody else, so that's what it is.
That's okay. We see you too.
Oh, okay. Somewhat. Okay. All right.
All right. So okay, so those are the three things now that we're going to start working with. Go ahead, Alicia.
So I would also say if the information you're asking for doesn't have a breakdown of what the units are, then you want to make sure that you have an idea of what the breakdown of the units are, the size and square footage, two baths, two beds, whatever that is. And then you also want to make sure that you know if they've been renovated or not.
And that's excellent, excellent, excellent. Now I'm going to throw another question out. So this is the month of May, 2025. Okay. When you receive the rent roll and the T12, um, how can I phrase this question? Because when you receive the rent roll and the T12, should it, how far, yeah, can I say that? Like how far back? Um, how old? Yeah, here it is. How old can the rent roll and the T12 be? So this is May 20th, right now, 2025. I send you, let's make believe I'm the broker, and I send you a rent roll and a T12. And the rent roll and T12, let's just say is dated February 2025. Can, can you use that rent
12
roll and
months,
T12?
1 year back.
Okay, so when you say 1 year back, are you saying so when I sent you the T12, it was from February and 12 other months on there. Are we good?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
When I sent you the T12, it was February 2025, and it went back 11 more months, which gave you 12. So was that a good one?
Yes.
Okay. So Leo said yes, that was a good rent roll in
You need the
T12.
most,
I won't
you
use
need
it.
the most current one. You need, since we're in May, you need to make sure that you have March and 12
Say it
months.
again, Alicia. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong word.
That's okay.
There you go.
Alicia, Billy also jumped in. Billy, go ahead with what you were going to say.
I said I won't use it if it says February. I need at minimum March, but since it's May 20th, they technically should have April as well.
Okay. So May rent roll in T12, I wouldn't expect them to have since this is May 20th.
Right.
All right. But I would expect for them to have April and March.
Yes.
Okay. And March is going to be a question mark because they really should be able to produce April. All right. And then you go back 12 months. Okay. So Leo, good to go, man. Thank you for participating in the questions.
You got it.
So now let's take a look at a rent roll and let's take a look at a T12 and let's see, does it meet what Daryl said? So here's the rent roll. Oops, hold on one second, everyone. So, oh, okay, because my thing was there and I couldn't see. Okay, so oops, and I gotta also let's put them all back. There we go. Okay. So this particular rent roll, it says May 14th, 2025. So according to what I said, we should get a thumbs up, correct? Boy, it done got quiet in here. All
Correct.
right,
He's
everybody.
only 6 days off. That's good.
I know, right? And okay, so can everybody also see the T12?
Okay, yes.
I can see it.
Okay, great. So here we go. So this one is April, as you can see right here. April, and so we got an April T12. So we're in good standings. We're in good standings. All right. So now we have I'm going to ask one other question before I move forward. Okay. So initially I said you were dealing with a broker. What would you ask the broker for? Well, suppose this is not a broker. Suppose you're dealing directly with the the owner of this particular property. Would you expect the owner of the property to have an offering memorandum?
No.
No.
Perfect. Perfect. Give me 1 second.
Some owners, if they're sophisticated, they may have a flyer for their property. But most mom and pops won't have flyers. The question is, would a mom and pop or a private owner have financials? Rent roll T12.
Yes, some of them do. They should really.
Rent roll, yes. T12, no.
Yeah, most times they're tracking this information via paper and receipts. So unless they have like a CPA or um, a bookkeeper, they may not have it. If some of you are mom and pops, if you're not tracking your information in like a QuickBooks or Quicken or some type of accounting software, could even be Excel. You know, Excel and what is that, Google Docs, and I don't know if it's Sheets or something in the Apple products, but you can usually find some sort of templates that you can use to track expenses for your buildings. And because we have AI now, you can ask AI what is most simplistic systems that you can use. And for those of you who are brokers on the call, if you have tenants that are like that, that don't have a CPA, you can suggest that to them to use to get their documents in order, but still suggest the CPA. Anyone else have any comment?
Yeah, Alicia, speaking of having clients with less than optimum uh, financials and rent roll. Another thing that some of my clients now using is Build them. Their property management softwares that are relatively inexpensive that you can set up and that can keep track of that, of the rent roll portion and the accounting portion as well. And that's just one of them out there, and it does at a relatively minimal cost from that standpoint. So that would definitely help you, especially when it comes time to sell or to do your taxes from that standpoint. You've been keeping up with everything.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Richard. Yes, you are right. And if you all need a software, we are using one as a part of the investment that we have. It's called Door Loop, and it operates really well. There are some other ones out there that are a little more expensive, like Appfolio, but yeah. And Daryl's back.
Thank you everyone for your patience. That was I had to take, it was a reference to property and Dayton, so I had to take that right quick. But so all right, so we did answer the question. Everything is squared away. So let's take a look now. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to jump into the T12 before we jump into the rent roll. The rent roll is pretty easy, but let's jump into the T12, something that's a little more difficult, because I want to ask you questions concerning the T12, right? All right, so okay, so here's the T12, right? Can everyone see the T12?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So let's take this piece by piece, right? You got the gross potential rent, right? Does everyone understand what the gross potential rent is?
Yes, that's if all the units are filled and everybody pays their required rent on time.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask you another question, because I want you at this point, I want you to play a forensic scientist. Okay. Look at the gross potential rent. Are you concerned about anything, or should I rephrase that and say, do you have any questions that you would ask the broker?
Growth
Don't look at
potentials,
nothing else except the gross potential rent.
it's slowly decreasing every month. Why?
That's a good catch. That is exactly. It's slowly decreasing. So what questions would you ask? What questions would you ask the broker?
Is everybody paying their rent?
So, okay, I'm going to stop sharing for 1 minute, everyone, because I think everyone sees that the rent is declining. I mean, excuse me. Everyone see that the gross potential rent is declining. Okay, so this is remember now, the gross potential rent is the rent is the potential rent that can be collected if everyone is paying in a perfect world. I'm gonna put it like that. In a perfect world, everyone's paying on time. Everything is glory. Everything is peachy keen. Everything is everything, right? So give me 1 second, everyone. Alicia, go ahead and pick up on that.
Yeah, so the question was, what questions would you ask when you see declining rent happening on the rent roll, to the owner, to the broker?
Just to come in on that, that's the gross potential rent line. So my question would, the first question was, are they actually calculating gross potential rent from that standpoint? And if they are they seeing, are they factoring in market rent declines? Because some people are now starting to use the daily rent calculation. So that could be pretty much all over the place. So you really want to know, is it actually gross potential rent that you're actually looking at, or is it something else?
Exactly, exactly. That was one of my first questions as well. Um, and I know Daryl doesn't have it up, but I didn't see any other rental, like base rent rates. Did anyone else see any base rent rates included on the sheet, or was it other income?
I didn't see market rent on there either from that standpoint.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Cara, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, I was saying, on the T12, is that in the rent roll that we saw for the same property?
Yeah, they're supposed to be for the same property, and you have a point there. Continue.
Well, so when I was looking at the rent roll, I was looking at what market rent was and what actual rents were. There wasn't a huge difference there. Maybe one or two units were like a couple $100 less. But I didn't get enough time to see what that actual should calculate out to for actual rents.
Right, right.
T12, because we were just focusing on gross potential rent. I saw loss to lease, and then I saw vacancy amount as well. And I was trying to figure out what the vacancy percentage is, which is going to be different than why the gross potential rent is dropping every month. Has nothing to do with vacancies for that small amount.
Right, because typically we see the gross potential rent, but then we also see the actual rent, right? And so we didn't see those two. So what it looks like to me is we're dealing with someone that's not as sophisticated in recording those items. And so that's good that you paid attention to the rent roll, and you also paid attention to the T12, because if those two numbers are appearing different, then those are the items you always want to, document questions as you're going through these, because then when you go to approach the broker or the owner directly, you have a list of items that you can ask them as far as questions on their documentation. So Daryl, hopefully you were able to hear at least part of that as it relates to the gross potential rent.
Is it your rent?
and,
Okay.
and actual rent and market rent. We're questioning what's appearing in that line.
Great. So Alicia, just give me so what did they say about the market rent in reference to that gross potential rent?
So I'll let Carl take that over, because he responded, and I think
Okay.
Was it Leo or Richard?
I think it was
Okay.
Richard.
Okay. So Carl, go ahead and tell me your part.
Well, when I was looking at the rent roll, I was looking at the gross or market rent, and then what actual rents were. And there wasn't a huge, I think it was like 11.15 was what market was, but there was actually some people paying 11.20. But there was a couple units that were 909 and some change, which was below market. But I didn't get to see what the bottom line was for what actual market rent total was versus what the actual amount is they're supposed to be collecting every month. And then as it relates to the gross potential rent, that nominal difference, yeah, I mean, I don't know why it's fluctuating, just it was probably less than $100 each month, and some months was the same. But then what I would do is ask for the leases to do a lease audit to ensure that what the rent roll is and what gross potential rent calculations, that all of those numbers should line up.
Okay. So that Carl, I like what you said there. And as for a lease order, he's not going to give you that until y'all get under contract. You start doing the due diligence. But I will say the gross potential rent, the one thing I want you all to remember, and I don't know if this part I told you, but I think I did. This is a small unit. It's 21 units. You may be able to get away with some with that decline in a 300, 200, 300 unit, right? And even then, you're not going to get away with a lot, but it's going to let you know what to project out. Okay. For a small property, like a 21 unit, that could be catastrophic. Do you hear what I'm telling you? That could be catastrophic, man. So I know I jumped on and off, but I'm gonna tell you the question that I would ask if when I saw that gross potential rent declining, what in the heck is going on in the market? That's what I want to know. Are other properties around that area also suffering from the same thing where they're having to decrease their rent? Now we're going to get into the rent roll where you can see a trend, whether, the one thing we're definitely going to get into is that rent roll, because the rent roll, when you look at it, you're going to see, okay, so for 2025, how was the rents? Are the rents starting out, say in January, as, this is just an example, 1,200, but then by the time we get to May, you're looking at rents of 1,000? We're going to take a look at that too. Okay. So the one thing that I would definitely do my due diligence on is what is going on in the market where this guy is being forced to lower that rent. And I mean, it's a gradual decline. It cannot be denied. Cannot be denied. And also now, my mind is saying, if he know that there's a decline in that gross potential rent, you better not be trying to get 100,000 a door either. All right. Because if I see that decline, when I underwrite, I'm going to underwrite for that my next month is going to be a decline. Not, now, of course, we're going to do our research. Where's the market? Where's everyone at? Okay. So excellent there. So let's continue with this T12 and see what else we want to take a look at. Let me put it back up again. All right, so good. We discussed the gross potential, the loss to lease. All right. All right, that ain't too bad. Vacancy. Now, when we look at the rent roll, okay, so this unit has a 7.9, or you could round it to an 8% vacancy. Do you think that may be also hurting this unit with a 8% vacancy?
No, I mean, if it's 21 units, you're really talking about one unit, a little over one unit on average per month being vacant.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me see. $14.25%. All right. So I want everyone to remember this number, because when we look at that rent roll, you may see something different. So here's your rent concessions. They are giving out concessions right here. All right. Bad debt. That's not too bad. That's pretty okay. They don't have water, so you don't have to worry about that. And they don't have electric, and they don't have, so as you can see right here, there's no rubs right here. So if there's no rubs here, is this a potential? I said potential. I didn't say you're able to do it, but
Yes.
is this a potential to where we may be able to put in rubs?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what would be the determining factor to where if we could um put in rubs or not?
What the lease says.
Anything else?
Market, what's going on in the market?
Correct. Oh, that's right. So you see that there's no rubs there, but what's also going on in the market? Are the other apartment complexes not charging the rubs? Because if they're not charging, if the other apartment complexes are not charging the rubs, you're not charging the rubs either. I can tell you that right now. You try to implement the rubs, and the word get out that everyone else is not charging rubs, that vacancy right here, that may be one, may increase. So you're not going to want to be the tester, the taste tester, to see how those beef ribs are.
What is
Mhm.
that again?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Rubs? I forgot.
Yeah, here's rubs right here. Everyone know what rubs is, right? Do everyone know what
I
rubs is?
forgot. I forgot.
Oh, someone help me out. What's rubs? 'Cause I don't know. I never implemented rubs. I don't know nothing about no rubs. So
Mhm.
educate me too on some rubs. What's rubs?
Mhm. It's your ability to bill back the utilities. So it's racial utility billing. That's what the acronym is, but it's your ability to be able to charge um, the proportionate share of utilities to each tenant.
Fantastic. All right.
And could I ask one more quick question?
Of course you can. Go ahead.
And what would determine that?
But the rubs,
No, the ability to what you say again, Alicia? I'm sorry.
The ability to charge back the utilities, the proportionate share to each tenant. What determines that is one, if the market allows for it. So if there's other properties that are in that market that are charging the rubs back to the tenants, the amount of your rent is going to determine that. If you're at the high end of the market rent and nobody else is charging rubs, it may be a challenge. But if your rent is under market combined with the rubs, if that makes you at market, you may be able to charge them back. So there's a few factors that you have to look at to determine if you can charge it or not. And
I'm
then it
gonna
all,
look that up. I'm
yeah,
gonna do
and
some research on that. But that's basically what Daryl was saying as well. That if
yep,
everybody else, right? Mhm.
mhm. All right. So we're good to go there.
Thank you,
Right.
Alicia.
you're welcome.
Right. So now let's look at the other income. Okay. When you're looking at the other income, um, again, you're playing forensic scientist here, or should I say forensic underwriter. When you're looking at other income, should are there any should no, I don't want to say should there be, but there may be some things that will stand out that you may want to ask questions on. By looking at this T12 other income, do you see anything that may stand out to you that you may want to ask questions about? Or you may say, hey, I'm not going to include this in my underwrite. All right. So take a look at that and just tell me what you see that really stands out that you would want to question and and not just stand out, but you may also say, I'm not going to include that in my underwrite.
Other utility cameras. What is what is that? I'm not sure what that is.
That's a zero. So I wouldn't be concerned with that.
Oh, okay.
Well, Daryl, you have, how's everybody doing? First, how's everybody doing?
All right, all right.
Cool, cool. Um, Lease termination fee, $17,000. And then you got amenity fee, $16,000. Those are pretty big numbers there. Residential damage is $8,000. That's pretty hefty also. So I will be concerned with what amenities are, and then what is lease termination, because you don't want that lease termination. You really don't want that. You want to get rid of that.
Mr. Jarman, that's excellent. That is excellent. I don't know if you all caught what Mr. Jarman said. He said, but that lease termination of 17,000, that's a lot. That's a big amount. And I have to agree with Mr. Jarman. What is going on with this property that the lease termination fees are so high? Yeah, you make okay. So you're making 17,000. You may be saying to yourself, yo, I'm going to let that stay. Boom. That's good, right? No, that's not good. That's not good. Because you don't want, yeah, although you may be making 17 grand, you having that's telling you you're having a turnover. Either, you know, why are people terminating their lease? Now, when you come in, you don't want people terminating their lease. You want people to stay forever. So I'm asking Mr. Jarman a question. Mr. Jarman, that 17,000 in your underwrite, would you include it?
I would not include it. Simply because, like you said just a while ago, is that I wouldn't include it simply because, like you said just a while ago, is that at some point you're not going to get it. I wouldn't bother.
Right. Your objective should be to eliminate that lease termination fee. That's what your objective should be. Anything else? Oh, Mr. Jarman did say to find out what is that amenity fee, because that's a big amount. $16,000. If that goes away, that could be trouble too. So you need to find out what that amenity fee is. Mr. Jarman is absolutely correct on this. Mr. Jarman, is there anything else? Because the 17,000, the lease termination fee, what do you think is also related to that lease termination fee?
That will go back up to the total amount you collect.
No,
The
no,
total
not that I
amount you
mean.
collect at the top.
No, not that. Stay within other income. Because you already called it out. You may have forgotten. You already called it out. You said lease termination fee,
Mm-hmm.
and you also said something else. You said amenity fee,
Mm-hmm.
but something else that you would you be concerned with?
Well, the only other I talked about the damage, but I want to say
There it is. There it is. That damage charge, those resident damage charge, I guarantee you that it's in relations to the lease termination fee.
oh yeah.
People angry. Now, I'm not saying 100%, but I could just about guarantee that those damages to that apartment is in relation to that lease termination fee. They were angry and they did damage to that apartment. So my objective would also be to reduce that damage. Now, you're going to have turnover, but that's in repair and maintenance. That's down below, right? But in November, there was a big damage, 2160. That's big. 1091. So your objective should be, okay, my partner, Mr. Jarman, already said to me, yo, man, we got 17,000, 8,000 here. Don't put them things into our underwrite because we're trying to get rid of those damages. Right? That's what we're trying to get rid of. Now, I'm gonna point one more thing out. I didn't point it out this time. But your objective should be to try to reduce it. I remember, I'm gonna say at one point, I was always about trying to get rid of it, like eliminate it. I'm gonna show you right now what it is. Matter of fact, before I say what it is, can anyone think of what it is, what I'm talking about?
Late charges.
That's right, late charges, right here. Late charges. My objective should be to try to eliminate those late charges. Right now, I could tell you that. Try to eliminate them. I know you're going to have late fees. I thought I could get rid of late fees, to be honest with you. But even at the property in Dayton, we have people that pay late. But guess what? We minimize those late fees to where it's not like $7,000 with our system that we put in place. So here too, insufficient check fees, right? I could tell you right now, that's going to be a zero. We take this property over, that's a zero. I could tell you that right now. Why is it going to be a zero? How do you know it's going to be a zero, Dan? Because we're not going to accept checks. That's a zero right there. Everyone must pay through the system, and you'll have several ways of paying. You could pay through Zelle, you could pay through Cash App, you could pay through the system that we happen to have in place, but we will not be accepting checks nor money orders. That right there just eliminated the late check fee, those check fees, the insufficient fund fees, right there. So that's going to be a zero. All right. So now, so before we move further, are there any questions in reference to anything that we have discussed in reference to the income, rental income? Are there any questions that you may have? Feel free to ask.
Washer and dryer rental income. That seems pretty high for 21 units, especially you probably have a lot of tenant change or turnover there.
Let me see. Hold on a minute. Let me go back. You said laundry, washer and dryer rental, pretty high.
21 units isn't that high?
No, that is income. I wouldn't. Well, it's others income too, but that's just showing that people are renting. I don't think that's I don't think that's going to um, go down. If they don't allow people to bring wash and dryers in, but you could rent them, then that's gonna be pretty good. I don't know. I don't think I would mess that. Come on, let me hear from other people. What y'all think about the washer dryer rental income? I wouldn't mess with it. Help me out. Help me out.
I would need to understand it. Like I said, it does fluctuate. 926, 955. I would need to understand it. 815. So I need to understand it. How are they actually renting washers and dryers? Like, does each unit come with a washer and dryer and they just call it rented? Then you would expect a more consistent cash flow from that portion. So I would just need to understand how is it actually being implemented, and that would determine how I would move forward with it.
Sounds good. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else got something to say? Help me out here. Help me out. Help me out. I'm a first time underwriter. I don't know nothing about underwriting. So help me out. What y'all gonna tell me? Don't just come and absorb all the knowledge and then run and go get you an apartment complex. Because Rich and I gonna come and blow it up. And I'm only joking. I'm only joking. YouTube. I'm only joking. YouTube. So no one else, nothing else to say. All right then. All right. But just to say, yeah, I like what Richard said, and I would agree, and I agree with Richard on that. In reference to the washer and dryer, because it does look like there's a pattern. But yeah, like July, no, July, October, and December, it sort of jumped up pretty high. But if you look at it, other than that, like it's pretty on a steady pace. But yeah, excellent, excellent. All right.
Non-refundable,
I think
non-refundable vet fees. They jump all over the place.
Non-refundable pet fees, which is right here. You know
Yeah.
what that mean, Richard? I mean, not Richard, not Richard, not Richard. You know what that
Kenny,
mean, um, Kenneth?
Kenny.
Looking to
I
me
mean,
like
them dogs. I mean, yeah,
people
people
moving in and
moving
out.
in.
Some have pets, some don't. Or
Yeah, they're moving in, bringing the pets with them. The non-refundable pet fee. But, but you know something, I overlooked that. No, when I say overlooked, I didn't. I mean, I just overlooked and not paying attention. That's what I mean. Not overlooked it, like But um, I'm just to let everyone know, every single month you're not going to have a non-refundable pet fee. Now, pet rent is different than pet fee. All right. So and non-refundable. Okay. So what does that mean? So at Dayton, we have a non-refundable pet fee of $150 per pet. So if you move in, let's say in May, and you have two pets, that's $300 you have to pay, and you won't get that back. But you're also going to pay pet rent. Okay, $15 per month for each pet.
Do you
Okay.
have I'm sorry, do you have a doggy park or area for the dogs on the
Uh,
property?
okay. So no, we don't have a designated park. We have an area where they could go and they have to clean up. The rest of the grass is labeled "No pets allowed." There's one particular area that's not labeled, and there's signs there that says "Clean up after your pet."
And what if they don't?
My
There's a
camera,
fee,
will,
a fine,
my
right?
camera, my camera catches you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to and you're going to be notified you're in violation of your lease. You
Mm-hmm.
could be you could be fined. You continue to If you continue to not do what's right, we'll evict you.
That's a deterrent.
Yeah.
Have you made any comments on the resident damage charges? Because I think those are high in such a small facility. Because you said it's
Yeah,
about 20, right?
Yeah, Mr. Jarman has spoke about it, and I told, and we had correlated that with the lease termination fee. And yes, we did say that that was very high, and that our objective should be to eliminate those lease damage fees.
Okay, good. My
Yeah.
apologies. My
Oh
volume
no, you cool.
disconnected.
You cool. But I'm glad you brought that back up again. I'm glad you brought that back up again because how can I say this? You're not going to know. You're not going to know who you're renting to until they're in your apartment. All right. I don't care how much. Listen, listen. You're probably saying, "Well, Darryl, you're not doing a good enough background, or good enough this, or good." Listen, listen. You could tell me that all you want, but I'm telling you right now, we do. Uh, I was going to say we do. Um, we perform an excellent background check. We check employment. We check crime. We check criminal. We check their previous. We do. We check. But I'm gonna tell you something. You're not gonna find out about a person, and you know that old saying, right? You're not gonna know about a person till you get into bed with them, right? Well, you're not gonna know about that person until they get into your apartment,
So you live
and
with them.
that's. Go ahead, Leo.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. No, it was the saying was you don't know about a person until you live with them. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're gonna say live with them. Uh, and I guess what? When they move into your apartment, you're living with them, right? Indirectly, of course. But the thing is, people, um, you could do background checks, you could do criminal checks, and don't let the felons in and stuff like that. But once they move in, that's when you're gonna really know how they are in that apartment. When you go around every month or every quarter and you're inspecting every single unit, right? Um, I think the people in Dayton would say Dayton is very strict. Dayton apartments is very strict because when we come in, as we come through to inspect, if you broke something, you're paying. If it's something that's out of place that if a perfect example, um, when I was living there, I walk the grounds, I would look at the windows, those who had broken Venetian blinds and all of that. Do you want to replace those or you want us to replace those? Because if we replace, we're charging you. There's a certain standard. It's only 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna stop right here in reference to the T12. And next Tuesday, we could pick back up and hit the expenses. But when you have your apartment complex, there's a certain standard that you're going to want your complex to uphold because there are going to be other people looking at your complex. And I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you from experience, the word gets around. The word gets around. So right now we are at 100% occupancy. And that 100% occupancy came from other people telling, yo, move, go over to Daytonville apartments. They're not the same like they used to be. It's like, yo, I heard about you. No, they don't tell me. I said, how did you hear about us? Oh, so and so told us about us, and this, that, and the other. You know, and we really like to come over here because we heard that it has changed a great deal, and it did. When you get your apartment, you're going to go through that initial phase of You're gonna monitor people, and it's easier with a smaller unit, like 24 units, 21 units. It's easier to see who the riffraff is and where the ruckus is coming from.
Troublemakers.
And once you see where the riffraff is located and who's causing the ruckus, once you get rid of them, I'm gonna tell you right now, your apartment complex is going to change. But you have to as I think I could safely say it, Alicia would say, you got to stick to the rules. You got to stick to the policies. Because Alicia's always asks me, Dow, what's the policy, right? What's in the lease? Alicia will be like, yo, Dow, what's in the lease? What's in the policy? So I gotta be straight when I come to Alicia. Alicia, this.
One
But
quick
so,
question, last question,
sure, go ahead.
real quick. Did you add value to the property and raise the rents?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's why they like it better now, probably as well. What about the
Yeah.
amenities? Did you upgrade the amenities or add amenities or?
Several of the amenities were upgraded, and I'm assuming we're talking about the appliances. Are you talking about that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yep. Showing up there, and we also improved the laundry center. The laundry center has been improved. We also secured the laundry center where before it was you could just come in and stuff. So we secured the door where we were able to track who comes in, who goes out. Now there's a camera there, um, inside the laundry center. So we also, I know it's 12:01, but give me one more minute. Just give me one more minute to 12:02, and then regardless, I'll stop. But you also want to make the people feel safe
I was about
at
to
your
say that.
apartment complex. You want them to, and I used to tell the tenants when I was living there, I want you to be able, I want you to say when you're getting off of work, I'm going home, and not, "Ugh, I'm going home." I wanted you to be able to say, I'm going home. It's 12:02. I must stop. So I want to thank everyone for coming out to the commercial underwriting show. Next Tuesday, we'll pick up from where we left off, and we'll jump into the expenses on the T-12. So come with your questions. Be prepared. Come with your questions. All right. And don't listen. This is a educational platform. We don't expect for you to know everything. So feel free to ask questions. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming out. See you next week, next Tuesday. Boy, it feel good to be
Yeah, I
back on
appreciate it.
every Tuesday.
Thank you.
All
Thanks,
right.
Sam.
Bye, Alicia.
Hey, thank you.
Bye, Lee.
Bye, everybody.
All
All
right,
right.
thanks for